Da, 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 da. Hey, da, 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 da. Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents Wrestle AM, half wrestling show, half morning show, pretty much all BS. And of course, you got the Coco crew here holding it down live. Yours truly, Boom Boom here, and Dave Coco. And Dave, I really wish we could be having a show under better circumstances, but we're gonna react to the news that everybody else has seen. It broke as of Thursday. WWE Hall of Famer Howard Finkel, he's passed away. It was announced on Thursday. He was 69 years old. Coco, I mean, just initial thoughts, reaction to the news.
Overall sad. Here's I only got to meet him in passing. I know I got to meet a lot of WWE guys in the 2000s. And I've only got to meet him in passing, and he was a gentleman, shook hands, and that's it. But I've been around enough people in the WWE that in any corporate environment, but especially pro wrestling, people talk bad about each other. It's like, ha ha ha, we have nothing in common, but, Debbie, an accountant's an idiot, am I right? I never heard anyone talk bad about him. He always seemed like he had, he was a happy guy, and everyone seemed to be happy. And there's not many people in professional wrestling that does that. You know what I mean? A lot of people, like, they'll always have someone. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Finkel, and yeah. So, and he's got some great memories. He's been there for a very long time. And some of the classic WWF, WWE moments come from him. And one of my favorite things ever was not of him actually in WWF, but remember there was a YouTube video where he did a wedding. I thought that
No, I
was
didn't see that. No, tell me about that one. I didn't see that.
I don't know if it's still up, but he did a wedding where it was a wrestling themed, and he came out and did the ring announcing and all that, so it was kind of cool. I don't know if it's still up, but yeah, to me, I don't know. It's just sad, and I always joke around that ring announcers are the worst human beings in the world, and some of my best friends in the world are ring announcers, and they're god awful. I hate ring announcers, but Fink, I always liked the Fink. I don't know him personally, but thank you for the memories. And I think if you grew up a huge WWF fan or WWE fan, he had to be a part of your life. So.
Oh yeah, he was kind of like Jim Ross out there, and so to speak, like the voice of many people's childhoods. Because a lot of people, there was some brief write-ups. I mean, I hate that they were brief, but I'm glad that they did. But mainstream outlets touched upon it, including ESPN. They had a good write-up on him. He made his debut for the then WWWF back in 1977. He became full-time in '79. And then when Vince Jr. took over the company and redubbed it the WWF right around 1980, Howard Finkel was the first person that Vince McMahon hired. The first person. And he worked, let me see, he appeared at every WrestleMania from 1985 to 2016.
Man,
In some capacity, or especially in the early days. I mean, he just had this iconic booming voice. I think somebody brought this up, and somebody linked it on YouTube, but they kind of showed like the contrast there. That I think they were trying to make. They had Finkel basically be like Chris Jericho's new Ralphus, and they had him, be like a, introduction. Like this was a SmackDown because it was Tony Chimmel. And he went out there, and it's like, ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. And then Chimmel just blasted him. I mean, he just had this booming voice, and it's just like, wow, this guy was just amazing. Had this powerful, booming voice. And even to this day, people, that's why do people put, and it's scheduled for one fall. And everybody just screams, one fall. This is why. Because he had that booming, he would put emphasis on one fall. Just great voice. Oh, and I always loved it when he introduced. I think it Nikolai. I think it was Nikolai Volkov. It's like, please rise for the Soviet national anthem, and they would start singing, everyone would start booing.
they never
Oh, good
finished it.
times. No, he never did.
Oh man,
Let's see.
I just want
What
to add, I
else?
just want to add something real quick,
Yeah.
sir. Before you go on,
Hmm.
me and Boom Boom were older, wrestling rant, and there's a few pro wrestling fans that have been around. I think there's not many people, in the business like him that predates us watching. Usually when you go on Twitter, you're like, when did you start becoming a pro wrestling fan? And it was like, oh, it's always before what they say. I don't think that any of us older fans been watching longer than he's been in the business.
Hmm. God, man. Let's see what else he did tie it up in the ring a few times. I remember the tuxedo match. They cut this was in the write up here, and I actually was like, oh my God, I remember that was when he and Harvey Wippleman had a tuxedo match in 1995. And I remember this. He had the Bushwhackers in his corner. He beat Harvey Wippleman because the only thing that Finkel had left on was the bow tie and his cummerbund. Everything else was gone. And I remember them just doing the thing, they're doing that little thing with the Bushwhackers. I forgot, I don't even remember what it's called, but he was doing that with them. Uh, he got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2009. Will overdue. I really liked the way he was shown on when they did Legends House on the early days of the WWE Network. That was you just got to see him as just like a regular person.
Yeah, he
And
seemed like a good
one
dude.
thing I didn't know is he was bilingual. He they were they in the first episode of Legends House, Ashley, the girl who was kind of like I guess there was kind of like a reality show. She was kind of like the host, the kind of person that kind of would make things happen that day. They said, "Oh, okay, well, there's nothing like introducing yourselves to your new neighbors, and what better way than a bunt cake?" And so they had to, everybody, all the legends had to get a bunt cake, go around to the neighbors, and just say, "Hey, we're the legends. We're going to be living here for a few days, and hi, how you doing?" And Finkel ran into a maid that was Spanish, and he just transitioned into Spanish, without a second thought. I mean, I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing.
mhm.
That's a show that aged well. Like I remember when it first came out, you're like, this is so silly, and now like you go back and you're like, this is pretty good. They should have a second one. I don't know. It seems like the farther we get from Legends House, the more I enjoy it.
And to touch on something that you brought up earlier, I think that just shows so much about the professionalism and class of these older guys. Because the only time I'm reminded of something was like comparison wise to this is me and Gene Okerlund. Because Gene Okerlund had been involved in every facet of the WWE for just decades, and nobody, I mean, in an industry where everybody's got a fucking axe to grind, everybody's got to be, well, it doesn't matter, they got to be contrarian. Nobody had any bad things to say about Gene Okerlund. Same thing with Howard Finkel. I have not heard one cross word. It's like, well, they didn't tell you about this, or well, they didn't, you didn't. What you didn't know, what he tried to hide from everybody. He was so two-faced because he pretended to be this, but he was really. I never got any of that, and I think that just goes to show you the heart of his true character.
Yeah, definitely, and it'll definitely be missed. And uh, it's a sad day, man. Sad day. But
You know what actually I hoped happened
what's that?
is after he died, he ascended into heaven, and then he was able to introduce himself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, introducing now and new heavenly body, Howard the Finkel.
It would be perfect. As always, I think when a legend passes away, the best thing you could say is just thank you for the memories. So
Oh, absolutely.
thank you for the memories. All right, boobs. I think that's it. Unless you have more, thank you for coming up with so
No.
much stats, man. You were the man. Give yourself a Barry
Mm-hmm.
Horowitz.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, and yeah, just remember the good times. All right,
Absolutely.
all right. Well, with that, we are over.